welcome back to my channel. Happy Wednesday to all of you. I am Jenny and you are watching Polly's Paper Studio. If you saw the project in the thumbnail and thought to yourself, that project sure looks familiar, and you will be correct. The project that we're making today is inspired by the flip folio that we created on Wednesday. And so I posted that video and we got a lot of great feedback in the comment section about those stickers. And a lot of people said, I don't have them, I can't get them. My store does not have those great stickers. And so I thought it would be nice to create an alternative way to finish that folio if you didn't get the stickers, and that way you could see a different option on how to finish it. I also think it's nice to show the base finished with different collections so that you can see just how versatile they really are. And so the thing I want to mention about those stickers is that it is not going to be like Michael's or Joann's where you walk in and all of the different varieties have their own peg. As far as I've ever seen, the craft section at the Dollar Tree has maybe 4 pegs, and they have maybe 20 different kinds of stickers all jammed onto it. So you're not going to be able to just walk through the aisle casually and look and see all the different options that they have. You're on your way to the snack section just like I am, but you do have to stop and dig through those pegs. You have to flip through them all just to see all the different varieties that they have. And if you stick with it and get all the way to the back, you'll often find that other people may have given up sooner and all of the good ones are in the back. So you do have to dig. It's like a treasure hunt. You have to get all the way in there to see all of the ones they offer, and hopefully that will increase your sticker shopping experience and you're going to get more of the fun stickers like I do. I spend quite a lot of time digging through all of those pegs just to make sure that I haven't left any treasure behind. So we're going to reuse the base for that folio, and I'm going to show you the 2 different things that I've done to change this out to make it more versatile for finishing without the stickers. And the first thing we're going to do is turn it on its side. So in the original video, I have a top folding folio, and for this version we're going to flip it so that it opens from the side. Now this is the exact base that I created in that video, and so I've already finished some of the layers here. I don't need to cover all of those measurements in the tutorial again. I'm just going to link to it at the top of the description. So if you haven't caught that video yet, or you need to go back and grab those measurements, that'll be pretty easy to find. But I didn't want to spend additional time here recovering something that we've already done this week. So I've got my base. The only difference for the base, besides turning it on its side, is changing the orientation of the pages that are inside. So remember, we started with 110-pound cardstock and made the flips. The whole length of the outside was the 110-pound cardstock. Then we switched to 65-pound weight for the inside to decrease some of the bulk. Now we want to add bulk here, but we're still going to stay with the 65-pound weight cardstock. And in the original book, each of the sections that folded out had one of these lighter weight folded sections. For this folio, each of them are going to have 2, and we're going to connect them in such a way so that they create lots of fun different flips in different directions. But because we need to open them from the side, we need to change the orientation of that folded section. So we have this 65-pound weight cardstock cut to be 10 inches wide by 5.5 inches high, and I'm scoring it at 5. So I'm basically going to have a 5 by 5.5 folded card, and I will make 2 of those for each of the sections. So a total of 6 I'm going to add to finish this folio. And I've got my adhesive on the back. So what I want to do is connect these in such a way that my flips open in different directions. And that makes it a little bit more funner, kind of alternating which way the book opens. So I'm going to start with my double-sided adhesive tape and remove the backing from that. And because this is a bendy point, bendy point is a technical term. You can use that if you want to. I'm gonna go ahead and add a secondary adhesive, and so this is just a thin line of that Tombow, and I will be confident that this is well secured. So remember, we want these to go in different directions, and really the hardest part here is keeping your fingers out of the glue, but otherwise you're just lining up these that have the same measurement. So this goes pretty well. I'm just going to bring those corners together and make sure that it's square and level, and then slide my hand out very quickly and avoid additional glue mess on my hands. So that adhesive, the double-sided adhesive, will help to keep that in place while the glue sets up so we can continue to work along. So what I want to do first is just go ahead and finish the inside layers, and that makes it easier to add to the book later. I've already got my adhesive on the back, but another thing that I wanted to mention as I work along, and I thought this would be much nicer way to work through your scraps because you don't have as many of the surfaces showing at the same time. And so when I usually work on a folio, I try to have things coordinated. And so this doesn't have as many surfaces that need to match. And so I think that would be a great way to get through more of your stash without worrying about it being coordinated on each page. So you only see 2 pages at once, so they only need to match each other. And so oftentimes you can flip your collection paper over and get a totally different look on the back side. So here is the first flip. That'll open this way. And then I'm gonna put a different pattern on the inside. And so this was just the B side from that pattern, and I was able to use the 12 by 12 pattern paper to cover these, and I had a little bit of scrap left over. If you want to, you could layer in a separate pattern and make more of a layered effect, but I think you need to be very aware of how much bulk that you add. Even though we don't have the dimensional stickers, this is going to add a lot of additional paper layers, so I would probably not do that for my book, but if you wanted to, you could consider that and really think about that after you have most of these layers in the book, and then see how much room you have left over. Okay, here is the cover. So this will be what you see on the pages when you flip them open, and I did coordinate these from the other ones that show that are open. And I'm just using the same nice blue cardstock throughout. This is a very nice thick cardstock, and so that does make it much more sturdy and heavy and bulky and nice. So here is the section that we've added. Remember, in the original it only had one flip, and it would flip to one side and then the other, but we're going to have all of these added in the same way so that you can have different flips on each page. So here is the whole section. I'm going to add it as one piece, and again we're going to go with the double-sided adhesive and then lay in an additional line of that Tombow. And then I'm going to bring my book a little closer to me, and remember that we are turning it on its side, so it's going to open to the right instead of top to bottom. And so I'm just gonna line this up very carefully with the outside edge, making sure it's square on the bottom, and then getting that in there without too much glue on me. And so, like I mentioned, I did have the same pattern on all 4 of these pages because I did want that all to coordinate. An additional item that I'm adding is a second smaller flip. This collection is the youngster collection. I picked this up while I worked with Authentic Paper. It did have some journal cards that coordinated, and I thought they were really cute, so my choice was to include them in this folio. But if you have just scrap paper or an older collection that you're working with that doesn't have the journal cards, you definitely don't need them. I would just swap out a different pattern for the top. For instance, this was one of the patterns, and I could show you how if you make that a lighter background and a smaller scale, that will definitely look more like a layering element, and it will definitely pop and have a little bit more dimensional looking. So let's do the journal cards for this book, but they are not necessary. I did add another piece of the 65-pound weight cardstock to create these smaller flip pages. And so this is 8 1/4 inches wide by 4 1/8 inch high, and I scored it at 4 1/8 so that my cardstock borders could be 4 inches square. I've also got my pattern paper for the inside, and also the measurement for the journal card is going to be 3 7/8 inch squares. So that will keep everything having a very nice, even, generous border. I'm putting the image on the side where it will open toward the left. And then I'll finish the inside with more of the collection paper. I did go on to scrapbook.com, like I mentioned, and had a look around to see what new collections I might pick up. And honestly, I didn't see a lot that I wanted to get. And the ones that I did like are not available for a amount of time, like into March and April. So I'm not going to be making a scrapbook.com order in the very near future, but I did pick up a couple of new things from Joann's. So hopefully next week I'll be able to bring you some projects with some newer collections that are still available to pick up, and hopefully get through until the designer collections are available. So here is my last smaller folding page. I'm going to add that same as I did with the larger ones. I've got double-sided adhesive and then Tombow. I was also thinking another option could be to have some pocket pages. So maybe we will revisit this base again and see what other different variations we can come up with to fill in the amount of space that we added with the spines. And of course we could also change the measurements on that. That's something to consider as well. But I just wanted to add some additional fun things since we took the stickers out. This kind of substitutes that more interactive rather than dimensional item. Okay, so we've got our pages here. They all have the small flip, and then they also have the first flip on the full-size pages, and then they also all have a flip going this way. So we've added quite a lot of usable finishing space to this as a finished project. We're going to add a lot more things to it, and let me tell you, this is heavy now. There is so much paper layers. Okay, so now is the time that you want to add your trim if you're going to add a ribbon closure. And just like I usually do, I've added that with a bead of hot glue to hold it in place so that it will stay right where I want it while I add my top layer. So remember, we've got to turn our book on its side because we have a different orientation, and I've already just gone ahead and finished all this because it's fairly similar to the original. I've just got my image here, a little flower display, some charms and buttons, and some sequins. So this isn't too different from the original, but I just didn't have the sticker that I did for the first book, but I did have this cute little image from the die cut page. So I'm just going to go ahead and turn my book on its side because it's easier for me to see to get this centered. And I'm just going to capture that trim between the layers so that it is nicely secured, and I'll make sure that I have a good contact so that will stay in place, and then tie this up. So that's all for our folded flip folio version 2.0 without the dimensional stickers on it. And like I mentioned, I think we will revisit this again with some additional options to fill the inside. If you enjoyed this version of our flip folio, make sure to let me know in the comments and give me a big thumbs up for this project. If you're not already, I would love for you to join our crafty little family. So hit that subscribe button and also the bell notification so you'll be alerted every time we add new content. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.